Look at this dog. Notice the sudden freeze mid-stride, the total rigidity in the body, and the avoidance of eye contact. When a dog behaves this way in a busy environment, they are often labeled as stubborn, but this is an involuntary survival mechanism. When the world asks too much, too fast, a dog's nervous system protects itself by shutting down. Traditional compliance-based training fails these dogs because it attempts to correct a biological problem with an obedience solution. Asking a shut-down dog to perform a trick is asking them to learn while their nervous system is drowning past its capacity. To change the behavior, we have to address the biology first. This document outlines our solution. It is a complete 8-step framework designed to rebuild your dog's internal world from the inside out. We break this down into 8 branches, utilizing 32 specific skills and 192 measurable checkpoints. By working through these steps systematically, we establish physical and emotional safety as the mandatory prerequisite to all obedience. A dog who feels safe can learn anything. This slide highlights Step 1, regulation. An overwhelmed dog cannot learn from a dysregulated state. Before we introduce any new behaviors or environments, we must give the nervous system predictable physical signals that the handler is safe. We do this through bilateral ribcage grounding. Place both open palms flat against your dog's ribcage. Apply very gentle inward pressure, but a steady hold. Count to 10 and take a long, visible exhale. That slow breath activates your own vagus nerve, and the physical pressure physically activates the dog's parasympathetic system, lowering their heart rate. This tracker interface shows you how to measure your dog's progress through Step 1. You must verify that baseline softening is actually occurring, looking for decreased muscle tension and fewer stress signals, before you advance any further in the program. Once the dog has a reliable baseline, we move to Step 2, recovery. The objective here is not to prevent your dog from ever encountering a trigger. The objective is to deliberately train their nervous system to bounce back from that trigger faster. When you see your dog go over threshold, execute a move away slowly response. Walk away from the trigger at a calm, deliberate pace, resting one hand lightly between their shoulder blades. Then immediately scatter a handful of treats in the grass. This ground-sniffing reset utilizes slow movement and active searching to naturally neutralize the stress response. Pairing physical distance with these specific co-regulation touches gives the dog a clear path out of panic. Over time, this shifts their biological default from compounding anxiety to resilient, predictable recovery. This screen introduces Step 3, structure. For the overwhelmed dog, a routine has nothing to do with imposing authority. Instead, it relieves the cognitive load of constantly guessing what comes next, removing the anxiety of the unknown. Build a same time, same way sequence. Feed your dog, walk your dog, rest, and train in the exact same order every day. Before shifting between any of these activities, build in a 5-minute transition buffer. During this buffer, slowly trace your hands down your dog's spine. This physical cue lets their nervous system know that a transition is coming and that it is safe. Next is Step 4, communication. Many overwhelmed dogs appear to ignore cues. In reality, those cues are buried under too many words, too much handler emotion, and too much repetition. To fix this, implement whisper sessions. Train at half your normal volume. Use a 1 cue, full stop rule. Deliver your command once and wait 5 seconds. Do not repeat the cue. Do not prompt. If they do not perform the behavior, move on. By removing environmental unpredictability through strict routines and stripping away verbal noise through quiet, single cues, you drastically lower the ambient pressure pushing your dog over threshold. Step 5 focuses on autonomy. When a dog struggles, handlers often instinctually micromanage them, but requiring total compliance at all times creates learned helplessness. A dog needs to trust their own choices. Look at this interaction. This is the open invitation. Set up a low-pressure space, sit down quietly, and wait. Do not call your dog. When they choose to approach and place their chin in your hand, receive them without grabbing or holding. Rewarding their voluntary choice to engage carries significantly more nervous system weight than forced proximity. This slide details Step 6, fulfillment. We must differentiate between chaotic, high-arousal flooding and the low arousal nose-forward activities an overwhelmed dog actually requires. Notice the priorities here: nose work, lick mats, calm play, and sniff circuits. Fast-paced games like fetch spike a dog's arousal before their system is ready to handle it. Substituting that chaotic play with structured scent work or a lick mat naturally drops cortisol levels. The licking and sniffing motions activate the parasympathetic system while fully satisfying their natural drive to work. Empowering a dog to voluntarily choose safety while giving them calm biological fulfillment ensures their nervous system stays regulated and never tips back into crisis. Step 7 addresses the environment. Taking an overwhelmed dog into a chaotic space to get them used to it is a catastrophic error. A dog who survives a highly stressful environment learns fear, not confidence. This diagram shows exactly how to enter a new space using the parking lot protocol. Start by sitting in the car for 3 minutes to establish a regulated anchor. Then, exit the vehicle and walk strictly along the perimeter. Keep to the edge until you find the exact working distance where your dog can comfortably accept food, and stay there. Log that threshold distance every time you go out. Within 30 minutes of completing any public outing, enforce a mandatory decompression session. Find a quiet space, use a long line, and allow your dog to sniff freely to clear any residual activation from the environment. That brings us to the final and most crucial element, Step 8, Handler Confidence. Your dog reads your biological state, your breath rate, your muscle tension, long before they hear a single word you say. Before any high-stakes interaction, use the anchor before entering technique. Take 4 counts to inhale and 8 counts to exhale. If your dog begins to struggle, use calm narration. Lower your voice, slow your movements, and matter-of-factly narrate your next steps while keeping a hand on their back. Your dog physically borrows your calm. Mastering your own self-regulation is the operational linchpin that makes the prior 7 steps function. You must work through these steps in order. Skipping ahead fractures the foundation of safety you are trying to build. If progress stalls, return to the previous step. Here is that progress tracker again. Checking off these 192 milestones is not a race for obedience. It is a documented map of your dog's journey back to somatic equilibrium. Your first task begins right now. Grab your long line, find a quiet space, and initiate your first decompression session today. Let the nose lead and simply follow. Following this method yields a resilient dog whose nervous system has finally come down, guided by a handler equipped to read, regulate, and protect them.